Hi, I'm Alex Dorsey. Welcome to our premiere episode of Project Bluesphere. Today we'll be going to Baddeck, Nova Scotia and Camden, Maine to look at two very interesting possibilities for Bluesphere. I've been using yachtworld.com to run searches and look for Bluesphere. If you'd like to, go to Yachtworld, run a search for yourself, and let me know if you find anything interesting. I really want to see Bluesphere under 40 feet in length. 38 seems to be the magic number, and I'd like her to draw less than 5 feet. Almost everybody that I've spoken to who's cruised extensively or circumnavigated has said the same thing, and that's that they wish they had a smaller boat, so they could have gotten into those tight little protected coves and anchorages. And with a larger boat, you don't really get to take advantage of those. But anyway, let's go take a look for ourselves. It's about 8 a.m. on a beautiful Canadian morning. I'm on my way to Baddeck, Nova Scotia to look at Louise, a 44-foot Peterson. Now, I'm from California. I've been living in Atlantic Canada for the past 6 months, but I haven't really gotten out and done much traveling. I don't know the area. This trip turns out to be somewhat of a spiritual journey for me. Not only does it represent the launch of Project Bluesphere, but I fall in love with Canada along the way. The wildlife is everywhere, and every mile I travel is threaded with new discovery. I took all of these images from the side of the highway. I didn't go looking for them. This was just the view from my Jeep as I drove by. Entering Nova Scotia brought a huge smile to my face. I've always wanted to visit, and I'm finally here. As soon as I got over the border, I spotted a couple of locals building a dam. Fish farms. I had no idea what they were either, but there's a bunch of them just outside of Baddeck. I arrived just after 6 p.m. I headed straight for the marina. Louise caught my eye before I could even find a parking place. There isn't much more beautiful to me than the lines of a well-designed sailboat, and Louise is just that. There are two problems with her right off the bat, though. She's a bit larger than I'd like at 44 feet, and secondly, she draws over 6 feet. Aside from that, I've researched every boat for sale on the northeastern seaboard, and Louise is one of my top 5 picks. She's outfitted for cruising with a 6-man life raft mounted on deck, a new Raytheon radar, and an Autohelm Autopilot ST6000. Anyway, a lot to think about. I'm going to go find a place to stay, have some dinner, and hit the hay. I end up at the Telegraph House Motel, a very cute place, fantastic service, and I would recommend staying there highly. The next morning, I'm the first one up and out the door as usual. I want to get some video of Baddeck, Nova Scotia for my collection, and I thought you might like to see it as well. Baddeck is a sleepy little town far removed from the city. It's the kind of place that makes you want to smile and say hello to strangers. It's all about sailing here, in a place that rings true to my heart. It's the kind of place where I'd like to land and plant someday. Not just yet, though. First I have to head back to Fredericton, New Brunswick to pick up my partner Paul and head off to Camden, Maine to look at another boat. So, on my way back, I spot this moose out of the corner of my eye. I decide to try and get a closer look. I take off onto a small dirt road and I get caught in a maze of trails, and all I manage to do is get myself horribly lost. If you knew me, you'd know that my stubborn determination usually takes over my common sense, so I forge ahead anyway. Perhaps I'm better off on foot. You know, I think I took a wrong turn someplace. Perhaps not. Deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole I go. I never find my moose, but I do get the opportunity to see some beautiful Canadian countryside, despite the fact that I get eaten alive by mosquitoes. I truly feel like a yutz when I have to ask for directions all the time, but I don't know. It's funny, I can read a marine chart, but when you add all this other stuff and all these places to it, it gets very confusing. Goodbye. I picked up my partner Paul, we hopped into his van and headed off to Camden, Maine a few days later. It was my first time back in the States for over 6 months, and we had to try to wise up for the Border Patrol guys. I had been to Camden over a decade ago, and I had forgotten how charmingly Maine it is. Integrity was out on a mooring, and we had to shoreboat out to her. As soon as we got on the shoreboat, we spotted a 44-foot Peterson just like Louise. I got a chance to see what she looks like in the water. Now, Integrity is a stout little blue water boat. She's a 32-foot Allied Seawind Mark II ketch. Hello, baby. She's a pretty girl. Her previous owners have done a good job outfitting her for cruising. She sports a Raytheon R20 radar and a blipper radar reflector. She also has a 4 Winds wind generator. Pretty nice feature. At the bow, I find a 35-pound CQR plow with 200 feet of 5/16 chain. She's powered by a Westerbeek 27 horsepower diesel, which seems to be leaking a little oil. No biggie. She has a Furuno DGPS, an AutoHelm nav center plotter, and an autopilot ST6000. At the galley, there's a stainless steel sink, Adler Barber refrigeration and freezer, and a 2-burner CNG stove and oven. The master stateroom is the V-berth, and cosmetically I'd give her a solid 7. There's a head with shower forward, which is accessible from both the V-berth as well as the main salon. I'm quite impressed with Integrity. Once back at the yard, Paul finds himself a boat.
Here's my new boat right here.
Yeah, whatever, dude. All in all, I'm quite pleased with Louise and Integrity, two very different boats that represent both sides of the Blue Sphere spectrum. Louise would be very comfortable, and obviously faster at 44 feet. Even though she's a little bigger than I'd like, she's really rigged for self-handling with that roller-furling main system. Integrity, on the other hand, would be extremely easy for me to handle alone. And with a draft of only 4.6 as opposed to 6.2, I'd really be able to squeak into those shallow protected coves and anchorages. Two very interesting possibilities for Blue Sphere. Send me an email. Let me know what you think. My name's Alex Dorsey. Thank you so much for watching today. See you next time.